On my orders, the United States military has begun strikes against Al-Qaeda terrorist training camps and military installations of the Taliban regime in Afghanistan.
Six American soldiers dead this week.
Afghanistan's volatile Kandahar province
killed Osama bin Laden.
If I wanted to win that war, Afghanistan would be wiped off the face of the earth.
America's longest war rages on tonight.
Over the past 18 years, 2,400 American soldiers have been killed. 2 million internally displaced Afghans, 2.7 million Afghan refugees. Masoud Amir survived the Afghan terrain to become a permanent resident in Canada. His brother, Mukhtar Amir, was not as fortunate. Mukhtar remains in Kabul with the rest of his family.
Mukhtar is my name and I'm 33 years old. So I came here and applied for asylum seeking. My life is at risk in here. This is my reason, this is the evidence, this is the document, and this is how I had successful life over there. Then I left everything because of my life. My life wasn't safe. It was trailing by those militants and those militias.
The reason why I try to leave Afghanistan is you know that we are Hazara. The ethnic is Hazara and the religious is Shia, called 12 Imam Shia, which is always under the target of ISIS, the Daesh. If you remember, on the past 3 years, I could say that over 400 Hazaras have been killed by ISIS in Afghanistan.
Over there, you doesn't know, you go to mosque, or you go to work, you go to mall, you go to street, something happened. Something happened and then you lose your life for nothing.
Despite financial stability and great relationships with both friends and family, Masoud was forced to seek asylum in Canada. Masoud faced the harsh reality that people and possessions cannot be safe in such a volatile place.
Security and peace is very important for a country. I mean, if there is stable and peace and security, obviously economy and job is there. I used to be food service in back home, and I had good income, I had house. I have houses there, and good job and nothing. Financial issue we had no problem. The only reason we had the security issue. Security issue in safe place. That's why I came here.
A very close friend of my friend and family and brother of mine have been killed here. There is 4 children left behind. His body was completely burned. First there was one attack, and after 5 minutes later, when the people went to help the injured, to try to carry the wounded to the hospital, suddenly the second attack happened, and a close friend and family member of mine have been killed there. So that is the reason we try to leave Afghanistan, because it's not safe for Shias.
Mukhtar and his family fled by plane from Kabul to Tajikistan. With their 4 kids, 2 daughters and 2 sons, they settled into Soviet-era concrete rooms, where routine police checks and money haggling were everyday practice.
So when you take the white card, after 1 month or after 20 days later, you have to have the red card. The red card is something like a visa, ever staying visa in Tajikistan. That is why the police was taking the red card.
When becoming a refugee in Tajikistan, red and white cards are given to refugees. Mukhtar says these cards are the foundation of the corruption he faced in Tajikistan, as they are what enabled him to lose $15,000 US without ever gaining any traction in the refugee process.
For my children it was very hard because there was no school. Somebody was there and he spent it with his family 5 years in Wahdat town of Dushanbe of Tajikistan. He said that it is 5 years I'm staying here, and my daughter was very child, and now he's growing up and there is no school, he couldn't go to school.
Saida has lived in this camp for 6 years. She dreams of a better future.
ما می‌خوایم که من دکتر شویم دادرم کلان شود کم و چند بارنده خصوص شود ما می‌خوایم من افغانستان تیم جدید ممکن مسافری.
When I was back home, I grew up with my family, and sometimes I really miss them. Most of the time, I really miss them. And second one, I see the situation over there is not safe. So that's the security reason I want them to stay here at least. At least like they have safe life and continue their lives like other people.
One of the kind of unseen contacts is just how deep the Afghan family ties are. And there's two pieces to that. One is a lot of people that go out are more economic refugees than they are because of the tragic conditions here, although the tragic conditions get a lot more coverage. And secondarily, that it's really the families here that can make a difference in the whole crisis.
The bond Afghan families share is only multiplied by the strong communities in which they live, so you could imagine the devastation of leaving friends, family, and their homes behind.
When you left from your country, you're like refugee. Refugee has no reputation. Refugee has nobody's seeing refugee as a human. The experience I get it from journey to Tajikistan is, you know, that once you're Afghan and then you're a refugee, you're not a human, you know. You're just like a money machine, you know.
Worldwide leadership in terms of how Afghanistan is being managed, humanitarian and development funds. And one of the things that's a bit hard and to really explain to people is this is a regional war. We're not really dealing with a sect of Taliban because of their religious beliefs, although there are Taliban with religious beliefs. We're dealing with Pakistan, we're dealing with Iran, now we're dealing with Tajikistan and Russia. It's a regional war. And to the degree that the world doesn't recognize it is a regional war, is the degree that we aren't going to be able to solve it here.
We have, 10,000 people last year crossed over the border, walked into Canada, and there was tremendous concern about this invasion. Such a small number of people actually get into Canada. We have a very controlled refugee process. We handpick our refugees through the United Nations. No other country in the world has that privilege. So we have great success with refugees and immigrants because we're such a controlling country.
They are forgotten. News segments of Syrian children and American soldiers flood newsstands and TV screens, but Afghans are nowhere to be found. Is it possible this is due to a lack in leadership?
We wanted to fight a war in Afghanistan and win it. I could win that war in a week. I just don't want to kill 10 million people. Does that make sense to you?
Hopefully one day I'm wishing Canadian or US or some other countries help Afghanistan from a structure. That's security, that is health, that is education.
Nobody leaves home unless they have to. Nobody came here because they said, hey, I think I'm going to go live in Canada. They had to leave home. And so that wrenching experience of having been torn from your home, you never get past it, even if you understand what the new country is about. You're never going to feel at home.
Peace is very important. And those people who are living here, they are lucky and living in a peaceful country and a great country.